Hello everybody and welcome to another ranking video. Today I'm going to be ranking all the Scoundrels, the whole faction, which is the biggest faction in the game, by the way. They have, I think, 51 characters. It's even bigger than Rebels. It's over 20% of the game is just Scoundrels. It encompasses a lot of stuff like bounty hunters, rebels, droids. There's all kinds of stuff in this tier list. I'm going to be going through it alphabetically. So 000 is going to be the first one because he's a number. And this is ranked within itself. So like the best Scoundrel down to the worst. It's not like on a marquee level or journey guide. It's all self-contained. So let's get going. And first, like I said, we got 000. And he is lower middle end of the B tier. I mean, he's very good with Afra, and that's the team. That's the only team he fits into. But he's not quite as vital as BT1, his counterpart. You really feel the impact of BT1 and everything else that 000 does. It's kind of through BT1. Next up, we got Aura Singh, and she is mid B tier as well, higher than 000. She just has a lot of use as a leader. Her stuns are pretty nice, but her contract is very easy to get. And I've talked about this in the Bounty Hunter ranking video. But her main use is getting that quick contract so you can get an Annihilate with OG Mando. Next up is Bo-Katan Kryze, and she is the top of the C tier. If we were judging her performance in the current season of The Mandalorian, it'd be probably higher because she's doing great. I love her as a factor in the Maul Mandalorian team because she helps you recover protection so fast, so much. It just flows through the team. You can go all the way down and all the way back up very fast. Next up, we got Boba Fett. And he is higher C tier, just a bit above Bo-Katan. He's found kind of new life in a Jabba team for me. Because he's Hut Cartel and he gets around taunts and the buff dispel is very nice. Ability block on the whole team is also very nice. And he's going to be able to come back if he dies once. So I got high C tier for him. Pushing B tier, honestly, for me. And we also have his future counterpart, Boba Fett, Sign of Django. I ranked him a little bit higher just because of his territory war Omicrons. He has some extended viability there, and I think he can be used as some Galactic Legend counters. But honestly, I barely ever use him. In the interest of time, I'm going to try to go a little faster, not talk in depth as much on the kits. But next up, we got Bosk, and he is quintessential A tier. He's not quite S tier, but he's amazing tank, one of the best ships in the game, and he's a great bounty hunter leader. Still my favorite, very durable, very good. And next we got Boushh, who is right behind him. You know, it's arguable that she's better than him, but it's kind of comparing different things. She is a key cog on a Galactic Legend team, whereas Bosk does his own thing. But both very good, very close. Next up, we got BT1, and we got 3 in a row here, alphabetically and in the tier list. BT1, as I was saying with 000, he is kind of the linchpin on that Afra team. He's really the main damage dealer until she ramps up, and it's just very satisfying to use him, and I'm so glad I get the chance to while they still have that Datacron. But even without the Datacron, I'd give him mid A tier. Next up, we got Cad Bane, and he is lower C tier. And he gets that high because of his ship. And we haven't seen a Hut Cartel Galactic Challenge for a while, but he was kind of nice in that. He helped people get through with a lower gear Hut Cartel. I personally am not going to need that if it does come back. But right now, it's mainly just his ship that's doing well for him. And in Conquest, he's kind of good because he's a support and gets extra damage with Zealous Ambition. Next up, we got Canderous Ordo. Higher C tier. Mainly only uses with Maul. He gets his turn meter supercharged with him. It gets past the turn back to him, basically. Not much else to say about him. And Captain Han Solo is next, and he is a little bit lower there. He is our first D tier character from Scoundrels. Really low D tier, and he's supposed to have use with the Santa team, but honestly, I still think he's kind of lackluster. Doesn't do much except for revive, and if you have someone dead, you're already in a bad spot anyway. Same with Santa. Cara Dune is next, and she is lower B tier. She's B tier because she has use in a couple squads with Santa, And with Mon Mothma, she's probably the most annoying character, honestly. If I'm going against Mon Mothma team and I'm losing, I hate her the most because her animation on basic is so slow and just very frustrating. Also, the AoE days on Empire is pretty nice, and the revives constantly. Next up is Sura Junda, and I'm gonna have to, I don't know if I'm right here. I put her top of A tier. She does seem like she has S tier potential, but I don't want to jump the gun. I don't have much experience with her. I haven't gone against her. I'm not going to have her for a while, but she seems very, very good. So I put her top of A tier. I don't know, but she does seem very good. Very survivable team and pretty unique with leading unaligned force users. And next on the list, we got Chewbacca, and Chewbacca is our first S tier. He is great, part of a top tier team with CLS, and the guard mechanic is always great. Pilot's one of the best ships in the game, the Millennium Falcon, possibly the best in the current meta since we have the Profundity. Next up, we got his counterpart, Clone Wars Chewbacca, who sadly is F tier, and he is the worst Scoundrel in the game, in my opinion. His only value is his Galactic Republic tag, where he can act as a taunting tank with either JMK or like Padme or something. Next up, we got Commander Tano, and she is, we already have our best Scoundrel. She is at the top of the list for me. Top of S tier, not much to say. The insta-kill, crazy stat boosts, just incredible character. Moving on, we got Dash Rendar, and he is mid A tier. He's lost a little bit of favor in my eyes, but still very relevant. I see him every round of JAC, whether it's on defense a lot of times, and he's also used on offense. So tons of utility. I don't get to use him as much without Vandor. I need Vandor and I need L3. But he's still very good and a great pilot. Next we got Dengar, and Dengar is D tier, but he's high D tier. He's basically a healer on a Bosk team, and that's his role. He also can be an annoying banner stealer, so maybe he should be C tier, but I have Cad Bane a little higher just because of his ship. Next, Dr. Aphra, and Dr. Aphra is coming in at number 2 on the Scoundrels. Only time will tell how she does after she has a Super Datacron expire, but even without that, she's really good. She's really fun in Rise of the Empire TB. Increasing cooldowns and everyone getting a bonus turn is going to be useful no matter what. I really like Aphra as of now. Next, we got Embo, and he is lower C tier. I gave him a bump higher than Dengar and Cad Bane because of his Territor Omicron. It makes that Jabba team just a little bit harder to deal with. A lot of stat boosts, a lot of good stuff there. And next we got Enfys Nest, top of B tier. Nest is probably, it was the first really good character from that Solo movie, and kind of a really random character. It's like, okay, why are you so good? But yeah, just won't die. Is always gonna have a place somewhere. She's not a solo master like she used to be, but she's still very annoying if you don't have the tools to deal with her. Next up, we got Fennec Shand, and Fennec Shand is A tier, but lower A tier. She's very strong. It's just hard to know where to use her. Sometimes she counters Lord Vader, but other than that, it's not a ton of great teams you can beat. There's plenty lesser teams that a Fennec lead team is going to struggle against. But she is a very strong supporting cast member to a Bosk team or maybe an Aura Singh team, and one of the best basics in the game with 5 hits and crazy damage. Next up, we got Gam Guard, Moraine Guard. He is lower C tier. His only home is on a Jabba team, but he's a solid tank, and some people even take him to Relic 8, Relic 9, just to be an annoying player on that team and make it more durable. Greedo is D tier, mid D tier. He can help auto this Thraid as Fatal showed us, but that requires a lot of development and a whole other team, and he's just kind of a beneficiary of a lot of other effects. He's the only character that can keep shooting forever, theoretically. Usually when I use him, it ends up just being one hit and done, but that's his main claim to fame. And they also nerfed his second ability against Galactic Legends, which was interesting. I mean, I don't know how many people were using his turn meter reduction against Galactic Legends to great effect, but they caught it and nerfed it. Next, we got Grief Karga, the High Magistrate of what's his face, Navarro. former head guild member or whatever for the Bounty Hunters Guild. He's mid to low A tier, just ahead of Fennec. He's just an amazing. I wish we had 2 of him for Bounty Hunters, that I could always split and make 2 teams and 3v3 or something. It's just, he's the one Bounty Hunter that I kind of want no matter what. Him and Mando too, but even sometimes you don't need Mando, like if you're taking Fennec against Lord Vader in a 3v3. You're not necessarily going to need Mando, but you will need Grief. He's very useful. The cleanse is invaluable on that Bounty Hunter team. Next up, we got Han Solo, and he is our 3rd best S tier Scoundrel, top of the heap. Whether he's better than Afro or not, I don't think he is, but still incredible. And there's a little bit of a gap here between Han and his buddy Chewie, so it's interesting to see what we'll have there. Shooting first and stunning is always going to be very valuable in the game, and that's why I think he takes the cake over his buddy Chewbacca, because I think that's more valuable. But they go hand in hand. They're pretty much inseparable. Next up, we got Hondo. And Hondo, I put him mid A tier. I don't know how long it's going to hold. I mean, he's still going to have the Grand Arena Omicron, but without his Datacron, I don't know how valuable he's going to be. I mean, without the Datacron, he can still do some good stuff. He has an Imitation Fracture, and he can stack his damage to a crazy degree if you set him up right. But only time will tell how he'll do. And on deck, we have IG-11, exact middle of the B tier, looks like. Very durable tank healer type. He's technically a healer, but he acts like a tank, and kind of annoying to deal with on a BAM team. Can flip like 1,000,000 debuffs and inflict a ton of damage over time on the enemies, so it's kind of useful. But not too much else to say about him. And now we got the other IG-88, who is lower C tier. He gets it high because he's kind of useful. He's got a ship, which is pretty good, but his ship isn't as good as Cad Bane's ship. Why I put him up here? That's because he has play with the Afro team. And he has the AoE ability block, which does put him above Cad Bane, in my opinion. Another bounty hunter coming up is Jango Fett, and he's lower A tier, but he is still A tier. I don't know how he's going to be with Trench. I mean, he's supposed to be the tank. The Trench team is a little bit disappointing so far, so we'll see how well it actually does. But he does crazy damage, prevents revives, got a decent leadership, but you don't see it as much anymore. I really like this character. I really want him to have a ship, honestly. I think that would be amazing to have a blue Slave 1 in the game. I hope that comes out, but it would just boost one of the best fleets in the game already, so it probably won't happen for a while. Done so many, we still have 21 left, starting with Chrysanthemum up next. He is lower A tier, pretty much exclusively on a Jabba team, who's going to be amazing anyway, but he is an incredible tank on that team, which gets him up high to A tier. Without Jabba, he's going to be pretty low, but as far as that team goes, he is just amazing, super durable, and he's got a zombie mechanic built in. He's coming back once. On deck, we have Queel, and Queel is a little bit higher in the B tier. He's ahead of his buddy IG-11. The stature is very nice, speeds up his team. Mainly just the stat share is the best thing for him, and his special buff is kind of powerful too. Another droid up, L337. I mean, I've seen a few droids here, but I think it's kind of interesting how droids are considered scoundrels. I mean, they're inanimate objects. Like, how do they have designs on villainy other than serving their masters? And also, just the scoundrel tag in general is kind of weird that there's so many light side. I mean, are you a good if you're trying to be a scoundrel? I thought scoundrel was like a synonym with villain. Anyway, that's just an aside. LT-37 checks a lot of boxes. Pre-taunting tank, but that's also light side, and a droid. I'm working on her now myself. Just amazing character. But you know who's not amazing is Lando Calrissian, which is kind of unfortunate because he's a great character in the movies, but he just doesn't offer much. Even with Santa kind of tailored to bring him up, he's still not a good option on that team. And yeah, he has the AoE, but it still is not going to. And I have him at like R5, because of a requirement, and I still never want to use him. Now we got Mission Vio, or Vio, whatever. Lower D tier, mid D tier-ish. Just on a bad team. And doesn't really see much player use anywhere in the game. I'd like to see that change. I'd like to see it boost to Old Republic, but right now doesn't have much going on for her. Next we got Mob Enforcer, and she is lower D tier. Got a rework, but she would only really work with Java, and she's never going to get play there. So she is D tier. She can inflict thermal detonators, but that's most of what I know about her. And after her, we got Newt Gunray, who is lower B tier, which I still think is good, but he doesn't get as much play as he used to. The extortion mechanic is fun, but he is not viable, at least where I am in the game, as a leader anymore. He best goes with the trench team now, but with Grievous to die off and come back and give Grievous a bonus turn. It's mainly what he does. After him, we got Kira. Kira is low C tier. I mean, she's supposed to be the leader of the smugglers, but under her reign, they never got used, basically. And then Dash came along and supplanted her completely. Yeah, not too much to say about her. She's got some AoE stagger, I think, which is kind of cool. And another smuggler leader, scoundrel leader, whatever. We got Santa. Can I click her? Oh, there she is. Lower A tier. She's not that great on defense because Bad Batch just rolls over her, and she has some use on offense and Territory War that definitely gives her a boost. I looked up some characters to use with her, but I'm not convinced of her overall utility. Next up, we got Lando, Skiff Lando. Kind of weird that a guy pretending to be working for Java is better than the original version, but he is high B tier for me. He does tons of damage under Java, but he does get subbed out a lot on the Java team. He's not indispensable like Boosh or Gersantin, but I really enjoy him, and I have him R5, so I'm not going to be using anyone else for a while. I really enjoy him, and he hits just so hard with his stacking offense, defense, penetration, and special mechanics. Alright, kind of coming down the home stretch, we got 11 left, starting with Stormtrooper Han, lower C tier. Again, kind of with the Santa thing, it's kind of an awkward team to me, but he does have a lot of useful mechanics. If you put him to R9, you have plenty of use for him, in which case he's going to go much higher, but that's a very high investment, so I don't know. I'm not sold on him, but I know he kind of has a fan following, so I don't know, I might hear about it. After him, we got the Mandalorian OG, and that actually completes our A tier. He's right in the middle of A tier. He's ahead of Grief just because the Annihilate is just so key. And even though Grief is indispensable on the team, Mando is probably more powerful overall. I love the turn meter generation on the team, and if he's not there, the bounty hunters have such a hard cap on their usefulness in the game now. So a really big fan of Mandalorian, great character, mid A tier. And speaking of the Mandalorian, we have his counterpart, Beskar Armor Mandalorian, and I have him in S tier, and something tells me that he might be argued at to be an A tier or lower, but I still think he's S tier, mainly because the damage immunity is really nice. He's good in a lot of key counters, like my Maul counter to Reva, even though that has some issues that I'm not going to be publicizing. Still a great character, and if you build him right, he can do a ton of damage himself. Next up, we got Vandor Chewbacca, and he is lower B tier, but still got a ton of use. He goes hand in hand with Dash, keeps people coming back all the live long day, as long as Dash has that Omicron. I'm still farming him up to 7 stars. But he is one of the characters that is indispensable on the smuggler team. Speaking of smugglers, we got veteran smuggler Chewbacca, and he is lower in D tier. He gets like that extra attack when the leader dies or veteran smuggler Han dies, but it's not very threatening. It's like, oh, he's getting a couple turns. There's not much to worry about. On the other hand, veteran smuggler Han is much better. He has a lot more threat to him. He does better damage, I think. He's got an AoE ability block with also a stun on the primary target, and he inflicts a lot of stagger. So if you build him up and give him about enough damage, he can do a good bit. And you can see we're late in the alphabet, so what's coming up is young characters. Young Han Solo, type of D tier. He just doesn't make the cut with the smuggler team anymore, so he's relegated to this D tier. But he's not as bad as young Lando, I don't think. I'm not super familiar with their kits, but young Han can stack his damage pretty high, so that's why I got him up here. Young Lando, I mean, he's got a ship, which is kind of decent, so he doesn't get F tier. But at this point, I'm not super familiar with their kits. I've never really used them, so I don't have a great feel for them. After that, we're in the Z's, and first one is Zalbar. He's higher at C tier. He could push higher, but with this ranking, I feel like this is a pretty good spot for him. He has a lot of use as a just plug-and-play tank. His defense stacks through the roof. I lost one match on 5v5 last season against a Ray team because I just couldn't kill him. He's the last one standing and had like just a little bit of health left. So a very, very durable character. And the next Z is Zam Wessel. I put her at top of C tier. Honestly, she could go in B tier, but that's just because we're in arena. And I want to temper how much boost I give a character based on an Omicron, just because it's limited to a game mode. And even in Grand Arena, she's seeing less play. In 3v3, it's hard to make use of her. And in 5v5, sometimes she just doesn't fit into the equation. But still really good boosts. A lot of speed. Speed is the key boost there with her. With that Omicron. I think top of C tier isn't unfair. Now the final character, we got a glaring hole here, and that is for Zori Bliss. The only marquee character in the S tier. She just is kind of crazy on defense and offense. She just takes leftover resistance characters and makes them insane. And if you put her with Galactic Legend Ray on defense, she can cause a lot of problems for people too, even though she's designed specifically not to go with Ray. Tons of survivability, extra damage, turn meter. She's got it all, and she really deserves her spot here. So kind of interesting. We got 3 females in the S tier, and then 3 males. Whereas males are overrepresented in the Scoundrel class. There actually is plenty of females. Maybe I'll count that up at the end of the day. But good job, guys. Very top-notch stuff, and the top 2 are women as well. Yeah, so that's it. That is all the Scoundrels in the game. All 51 of them, I think was the count. Over 20% of all characters in SWGOH. Come in all shapes and sizes. And it's a pretty balanced faction in terms of power level. Got kind of a standard distribution with a little bit of a skew towards good and strong characters. That's what makes set 6 of Datacrons especially deadly, because there are just so many applications for Scoundrels. The possibilities are almost endless. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Sorry if I talked too fast. I don't know if that's preferred or not, but there's a lot of characters, so I had to get through them pretty quick. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you for the next video.